since launching it, I've had over 150 women and one man come forward to say that they found their cancer as a result of seeing that campaign. And the majority of them are under the screening age. So again, the only people that were going to find it was them, you know. I was told that I had grade 3 invasive breast cancer. There is no grade 4. So grade 3 means it's very hungry. It's very fast moving. And it had spread already into my lymph nodes. So the following week was my 40th birthday. So my plans for my 40th party and everything were all totally scrapped. And instead I was in hospital having a mastectomy. I had people crossing the street, wanting to avoid me when I was going through cancer. And I get it. It's not because they're horrible people. It's that they don't know what to say to you. And I understand that. But equally, I need badass people around me. And
so you found your people?
Found my people. Oh, 100%.
Today's guest is a woman who has navigated some of life's biggest highs and hardest challenges while raising family, building a hugely successful career, and using her voice to create real impact. Helen Addis is an award-winning television executive with more than 2 decades of experience in British broadcasting. In 2018, Helen's life changed dramatically after being diagnosed with breast cancer. While continuing to work in television and raise 3 teenagers, she also became a passionate advocate for breast cancer awareness, work that has led her to being awarded an MBE in 2026. More recently, after being made redundant in late 2025, Helen has found herself once again rebuilding, reinventing, and stepping into a completely new chapter with honesty, humour, and resilience. Helen, welcome to the Showing Up Stronger podcast.
Flippin' heck, that was I feel like I've got a lot to live up to now. Flippin' heck.
But that's you.
Oh, thank you.
That is you. And my first question for you is, who is Helen Addis?
So, who the hell am I? So I would say that I am, first and foremost, a mum. If somebody's asked me about me, I guess it's the first thing I say. I've got 3 kids and they're the absolute centre of my universe. And then outside of that, I am a TV producer. I like making content. I don't know really. Somebody that just tries to get on with life. And I think if you asked me that question every single morning, I'd probably answer it very differently, just because every day is very different. And the thing that keeps me going is raising awareness for breast cancer, because had I not been body aware when I found my lump, I was under the screening age, so the only person that was going to find my cancer was me. So I think that's another big driver for me, and what I'm all about is just making sure that women and men do advocate for their health, and that they are body aware, and that they do check themselves, and if they do find anything unusual, that they get it checked out, because my case would have been very different had I not done that.
So we will touch on that later, if that's okay. But you spent over 20 years working at the highest level of British television. What did that look like, and how did that teach you about pressure and resilience?
So I went to uni, I was a graduate, and I wanted always to get into telly. And every way that I went, I was getting the door shut in my face, because I didn't know anybody in the business. And it's one of those industries, it's really hard to crack. I didn't live anywhere near London. I lived down on the south coast, but I knew that I wanted to get into either magazine writing or TV. And I kept writing to all these different TV companies. Nobody was responding to me. So I'd end up going knocking on doors. And so that, I think from the very first instance, I had to be very resilient and not take no for an answer. And eventually I got unpaid work experience for Blue Peter. I don't know if you remember Blue Peter.
Yes, of course, the Blue Peter bag.
Yeah. So I turned up on my first day, and I was wearing a suit, and I had a cravat thing on, and I was all fancy dressed up for it. and they handed me some overalls, and my job, they took me to their warehouse, and my job on that first day was they wanted me to transform this life-size, it was a Christmas pudding that was made out of paper mache, and it was bigger than me. And they said, basically, we need it for the programme tomorrow that we're recording, but it needs to be a bird poo. And I was like, oh, right. So I had to put these overalls on, and my job for that day was to turn this life-size thing. I was completely on my own, and I had to make it look like a bird poo.
Did you achieve that?
I did achieve it. In fact, I would say that I smashed it. I did really well at it, but I was there all day. So that was my first taste of getting into telly was, you just have to do all the crappy stuff and work your way up from the bottom. And yeah, so I spent, like you said, 25 years in telly, and I eventually found my way through to the point where I was running the content that went out on ITV daytime, and it was just the best job ever, starting people's conversations on the day. We would be covering everything from what's going on in politics to the latest in high street fashion, and I absolutely loved it. Lived in New York for them for a couple of years, running their American office, which was incredible, chasing tornadoes and other weird and wonderful things. But yeah, it's been the best time. But juggling that with parenthood, not easy.
No, certainly not. I mean, was there a lot of, you obviously mentioned there was a lot of travel involved.
Yeah.
How did you manage that?
We had au pairs to come along the ride with us, which was great. And
so your children came with you?
They didn't come to America. That was before having kids. But when I moved back to have kids, the only way, because I would start so early in the morning, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, we had to have somebody live in. So we ended up having, an au pair that helped us out, because also that's really affordable, because nannies are really expensive. And TV, you don't earn mega bucks in telly. So we just had to make ends meet and do whatever worked so that we could still continue our careers, which we loved. So
this episode is sponsored by Revive Active, the multi-award-winning supplement brand that's enjoyed by customers every 1.3 seconds. Why the popularity, and what's the difference between all of those other supplements out there? It's simple. Revive Active uses only the very best science-backed ingredients in their formulas, with no added nasties, while ensuring that the synergy of ingredients increases their effectiveness, giving you power, purity, and positivity in every single product. Choose from truly comprehensive and great tasting powders, or a range of clever capsules to support you, whatever stage of life you're at. Supporting everything from energy, cognitive function, heart health, and even a restful night's sleep. Taken by health experts, elite athletes, and everyone in between, find out how Revive Active can support you and your family. Find Revive Active in Boots, Holland & Barrett, pharmacies and health stores, or online at reviveactive.com. For exclusive discounts for all Showing Up Stronger podcast listeners, simply use the code STRONGER15. Because so much of your identity has been tied to TV, and then you were made redundant.
Yes.
In 2025, last year. I mean, how was it like navigating that?
Do you know what? It's been probably one of the hardest things that career-wise, I've ever had to encounter. I think when you've been doing something for so long, it was very much, like you say, so much part of my identity. But not just that, it's just like my daily routine. I'm used to getting up. I'm used to looking in my wardrobe thinking, oh, what am I going to wear today? Whereas now it's like I don't have to get dressed up as much anymore, which is weird. And I suppose you lose yourself a little bit when you're not working. But I'm a big believer in these things are all meant to be, and it's all for the right reasons. I'm absolutely sure of that. And actually, it's really good at the moment to be more present at home because my kids are teenagers, and I kind of feel like they need me now more than they've ever needed me, from an emotional support level. So yeah, while it's been hard, I think it's meant to be, and I'll get through it.
You will. No, you will. I mean, you're doing fantastic things now, which we'll also get onto. But what tips would you give to people who are navigating redundancy, having been in a career, such a high-flying career, for such a long period of time?
I think what I would say to somebody, which I have to admit I don't listen to myself often, but I would say be kind to yourself. You've been 100 miles an hour for so long. Take a beat, take some time off. Luckily, I was made redundant, so there is some buffer there. So financially, I don't need to worry at the moment. But I would say it's like a grieving process, and it is very much just take each day as it comes. And also, it's not personal. I know that I was good at what I did. It's just in the new structure that they're creating, because they have to make cuts financially, how I would have fitted into that, it just wasn't, what didn't suit my life. So I decided to leave. So yeah, I would say just, be kind to yourself.
And do you think you want to go back into TV?
If the right thing comes up, I 100% would do that. I'm not in any rush to at the moment. I'm actually quite excited to see where, new things might take me. And I'm actually just enjoying spending a bit of time thinking about myself. So I now work out every morning. I never used to do that, ever. But that's part of my thing now, as I get up and I either do weights or go for a run and I'm not an exercise person. So
that makes me very happy to hear that you're prioritising yourself and you're doing your strength.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, but I think I'm doing the right thing. I just follow, stuff on YouTube and
That's
stuff.
really good.
Makes me feel better.
Well, that's the most important thing, because you're pouring into yourself. And I feel that you've then got a clearer mind 100%. To navigate the day.
Yeah, definitely. And also I feel like I've already achieved something. If I've done that,
definitely.
At the very least, if somebody doesn't reply to one of my emails that day, I know, well, at least I have done a workout. I've got hot and sweaty and I feel good for that.
Can you take us back to 2018? What happened?
So I was getting ready for work one morning. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning, had a shower, jumped out, and I was putting moisturiser on my body, and I stood in front of a mirror and I found a lump on my right boob just underneath my nipple. And I thought, I actually wasn't worried, because I thought, well, that's not going to be cancer, because I'm 39, relatively fit and well, no family history of cancer at all. So I thought it must be hormonal. I'd been getting some hot sweats at night, so I thought, it must be like a hormonal thing. But I thought I will get it checked out, because we do these kind of stories on our programme all the time. So I went to the doctor, who agreed with me. It's unlikely to be anything other than hormonal, but there is a lump, so let's refer you on to the specialist. So 2 weeks later, I went to the breast clinic, and in that time, another 4 lumps had grown. One was in my armpit. And I actually thought, well, jackpot, that's not going to be cancer, because cancer doesn't move that fast. It's going to be hormonal, of course. So they did a mammogram, and then she said, let's do a ultrasound and then a biopsy, all in one appointment sort of thing. And so I had the biopsy, and I was thinking, God, it's a bit weird. Like, why are they making me do a biopsy? And I was back in front of that same specialist 3 days later, and she came to pick me up from the waiting area. And a few days before, when I was having all these tests with her, we were talking about, the weekend and, just having general chit chat. And when she picked me up from the waiting room and I'm following her down this corridor, she didn't want to look over her shoulder and say, so how was the weekend? She just didn't. And I thought, this is, you just have a vibe. And then when I walked into the room, there was another member of staff in there, and I thought it was a nurse. And I thought, yeah, this isn't good. And then we sat down and she said, I'm really sorry, Helen, it's not the news that we wanted to hear today. I was just like, whoa, okay. She said it's cancer. And my husband was sat next to me and he just shrunk. And with him doing that, I just remember I just felt very like, okay, right, like roll your sleeves up. What do we need to do? How do we get rid of it? And so I very much went into practical mode. And interestingly, my husband, not so much. He was very like, and I do wonder if it was the other way around, him getting a diagnosis, I think I would have lost my shit. But I think because it was coming to me, I just thought, no way, I'm going to be all right. I haven't got time for this. Yeah. So I was told that I had grade 3 invasive breast cancer. There is no grade 4. So grade 3 means it's very hungry. It's very fast moving. And it had spread already into my lymph nodes. So the following week was my 40th birthday. So my plans for my 40th party and everything were all totally scrapped. And instead I was in hospital having a mastectomy. And then I was told I had to have 16 rounds of chemo, 15 rounds of radiotherapy, and then 18 rounds of like a targeted hormonal therapy because my cancer fed off my hormones. So yeah, I would say when we left the consultant's room that day, I don't know, it's so weird. Like I was supposed to be going to work the next morning and like all of a sudden everything had completely flipped on its head. And I remember just getting into the car and we drove back in complete silence and then getting to our front door and I could hear the kids inside screaming and like just playing, and then one of them was moaning about the fact they didn't want to eat the homemade chicken curry that I had made for them for my neighbour to give to them whilst we were at the hospital. And I thought, gosh, shit, like the chicken curry is the least of our worries right now. But you know, you put your key in the door and you go in and life has to go on, like life as usual. And they were 5, 7 and 9 at the time, so they were quite small. And they're very perceptive, children are, and they knew something wasn't right. Like, why wasn't I in work the next day? I'm never not at work. Why is Dad at home? Like, he's never not at home. And so we waited actually till I got some of the results back, because what we didn't know at this point was how much it had spread. Because if the cancer's just found in your breast, is very treatable. If it's got into your bloodstream and it's moved around your body, if it hits another organ, basically, that's incurable. So at this point, we didn't know what we were playing with. So once we found out that it's looking like it's just got to the lymph nodes, we sat the kids down. Like, you know how Mum had a lump on her boob? Because they knew about that. And I said, well, it's a bit like when you guys get a verruca. I always say don't judge me because my kids get verrucas when they go for swim lessons at that age. I said, it's a bit like that. And I've got to go and have some like special medicine on. It's going to take about a year, but, you know, I might lose my hair and all the rest of it. But I'm, you know, that's what's happening. And so my 5-year-old was just very much like, oh, can I feel it? So she wanted to feel it. And then she was just more interested in her Paw Patrol toys. And then my eldest just said outright, he was 9, he said, is it cancer? And I was like, I didn't even know that he knew what cancer was, because we don't have it in our family. We don't know anybody that had it. But I said, what do you know about cancer? And he said, I know it kills people. Because I think he must have seen it on an advert or something. So my instinct was to say, no, of course not. But it was interesting that it was then sort of playing on his mind. And a story that I've said a couple of times is we've got a home laptop and we don't let it go upstairs. And I'd noticed it was under his duvet a few days later. And I had opened it up and I looked at the history, and he had Googled what will happen the week before my mum dies of breast cancer.
You're joking.
I was like, oh my God.
Nice.
So then what I realised with that, it was a massive lesson that I think me going off to all these appointments and stuff and not explaining anything and not sharing too much was actually more damaging for him. He wanted to know the ins and outs of, oh, what's that medicine called? How are they going to give it to you? When are you going to stop feeling sick? What's that tablet for? Because there were all these, I had to inject myself with different things, but I was doing it all behind closed doors. Whereas actually, if as soon as I started sort of getting him to help me do stuff, it was actually a lot better for him. That was his, I think he coped with it better. And my middle daughter, April, she was 7. She was quite funny. So my husband had taken time off to help look after me. And with that, he started doing a lot more DIY. And we were joking at the time how suddenly like walls were being painted and like things that like door handles that were wonky were suddenly being fixed and stuff. And he had bought from B&Q this complete guide to DIY book. And April, my middle daughter, had picked up, and she had come running into me when I was lying in bed, and she was like, Daddy's learning how you're going to die, I was like, what are you talking about? And she said, a complete guide to die.
Oh no.
I'm like, no, I'm not dying. Like, it's open it up. It's a do it yourself book.
Oh,
it's like it's a man up a ladder. And then she was like, why is it not a woman up a ladder? I was like, yes, exactly. Worry about that more. So it was a real. I think when the diagnosis hit me, what I realised is it hit all of us. It hit the kids as well as me and my husband, and we just had to navigate it, the 5 of us, as best we could, really. And the best way that we dealt with it, it's not for everybody, was to be really open and honest and talk about it. And, you know, I mean, it got to the point where my youngest took my prosthetic boob into school for a show and tell one day without me knowing, because I didn't wear it every day. I only wore it on days where I was going out. So she took that in one day, and I only knew she had done that when I found it in her book bag.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And actually, back to your question about dealing with redundancy and all the rest of it, I've been dealt harder cards. So it's okay. Like, I will be okay. And I've got every faith in that. And my God, what my body has been through with all those chemo drugs and the radiotherapy and because I've got high chance of osteoporosis now because of the treatment, and I've been pushed into an early menopause. Like I face challenges every single day, and I just think life's too short to be sweating the bullshit, really.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. Of course it's not.
During your cancer journey, how did you continue to show up for your children?
I would be at the school gates as much as I possibly could. I made all their... I remember coming out of hospital and going straight to a sports day thing. And you know what? For other women, some of the other mums were so kind to me that, there would be somebody that would remember and think about me and bring a fold-out chair for me, or go and get me a drink, or... I remember it was end of term as well, and everyone was having those like lever hoodies made, and I hadn't filled out the paperwork for it and all the rest of it. Somebody had done it for me and given it to my daughter, and so there was a lot of kindness. I was surrounded by a lot of kindness.
Before we go into the campaign that you created, what tips would you give for people to be proactive with their healthcare?
So what I would say to encourage people to be more body aware or breast aware is that once a month, just do a quick rudimentary check around in front of a mirror, ideally, and raise your arms up. You're looking for any kind of dimpling, rash, colour changes, lumps. To be honest, the main thing is look at yourself, feel yourself, and know what your normal is, so that the next month, if something feels or looks different, you know to check it. For women, it's best to do it not leading up to your period, because you tend to be quite lumpy and sensitive then anyway. So it's best to do it just after your period's finished. Set a reminder on your phone, and just get yourself. It takes minutes to do. Some people have said that they'd felt pain. Some people have said that they noticed an unusual body odor, like a smell, which I definitely had. So it's anything that is unusual. And if you're not happy with how the doctor responds, get a second opinion, because you have it so often where you present yourself to a doctor and people are fobbed off. But if you know that there's something different, just be persistent. It might be nothing, and 75% of symptoms that you find on your chest area turn out to be nothing, but best to get it checked out.
So the Change and Check campaign, yes. Tell me all about that.
So I launched that when I was going through chemo. Now, one thing I did during chemo was I would invite different groups of friends with me to come to each session. And I created a thing called Come Chemo With Me, where I would judge them on the kind of banter that they brought, any kind of like gifting that they brought me. People brought me like nice, like weird, like socks and stuff, any good snacks that they bought me. So I would like really like grill them on how good a company they were on my Come Chemo With Me. And try to make it quite fun. But I would always ask them, like, do you check yourself? And 9 times out of 10, they say, oh, no, my boobs are too big, my boobs are too small, I'm a man, I can't get breast cancer. That's not true. So I thought, God, if I can get breast cancer and I don't have family history, I felt like anybody could. So I wanted to create a reminder sticker which goes on shop changing room mirrors and gym changing room mirrors that says, in the time it takes for you to get changed, you could check yourself. And it has the sort of the symptoms, the top 9 symptoms of breast cancer on there, with a QR code with a video of how to check yourself. So I launched that on ITV, and loads of shops took it on, like John Lewis, Sweaty Betty, David Lloyd, Asda, like loads of different outlets up and down the country. And since launching it, I've had over 150 women and 1 man come forward to say that they found their cancer as a result of seeing that campaign. And the majority of them are under the screening age. So again, the only people that were going to find it was them, And
the screening age is?
Well, it's late 40s. On average, it's around sort of 49, 50. So it shows that works. And that's only 150 people that we know of. There's bound to be more people out there that the campaigns help. So it sort of goes from strength to strength. And every year, every October, I try and do something a bit wacky to try and get more traction and get more people talking about boobs. So one year I took up a hot air bespoke boobloon, and we flew it out over Bristol, and it says, have you checked your boobs on the side of it? We've climbed the O2 and made it look like a massive boob. With some of the women that came forward, we formed a choir, and we had a song written for us. We got Joss Stone to sing on it with us. We got to number 1 in the download charts, which was amazing. We went on Britain's Got Talent. We were asked to perform at the Royal Variety Show. We released another song the following year with Marty Pello. And again, all this sort of stuff gets good publicity. I turned up outside Downing Street topless with some currant buns. And again, that made the press. Lorraine opened the show with buns covering her boobs. She was completely topless. Again, that got press. And whilst it's all like fun and ridiculous and it gets people talking and hopefully more people checking. So, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do
this
next.
year.
Yeah. Trying to figure that out.
That's so important because I think you've got to make a positive out of such a negative, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the more that we talk about it, the more people be like, oh yeah, I will check myself.
It makes it more normal.
Yeah. And we got NHS endorsement. So that was amazing. So we've now got the NHS approval on there, which means that they're going to start displaying these stickers in like NHS dentists and doctor surgeries and hospitals and hopefully local leisure centres, because many communities are hard. There are lots of communities that I'm finding harder to reach. So we're looking at getting the stickers translated as well, so that if English isn't your first language, that they can still be understood. So yeah, lots of work to do. But
I mean, you must have not thought that this was going to be
I never thought
big.
No,
when you started it.
No, the choir. We were invited to go to Buckingham Palace to perform in front of the King and Queen for an event that they were doing, and I always laugh. Me and the group of Change and Check women, we always laugh at where our boobs have got us in life, and who knew that's that's where it would get us. But brilliant, here for it.
That's fantastic. And you're getting an MBE?
Yes, so I'm going tomorrow actually. Yeah,
Congratulations.
Going to Windsor Castle for my my work within the breast cancer community, and also for creating the campaign. And also I've done lots of fundraising over the years as well. So yeah, for that. Got to practice how to curtsy.
Ooh, that's so exciting. Yeah. Oh, that's absolutely amazing. Have you got your outfit sorted?
Yes, just.
Nice. Is it pink?
It's not. No, I thought I'd come away from the pink tomorrow. So I'm in a white suit.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
How can partners and friends support those with cancer?
How can partners and friends support? I would say that people can help loved ones by, like, for me, the things that were helpful were practical things, like making a tray bake or seeing if there's any like admin that they can do for me, or popping to the shops, just generally checking in. The questions, the messages that I found difficult was, is there anything I can do for you? Because I didn't have the capacity to think, oh yeah, I need this. It was more, I'm dropping this off at 3:00 today. Don't leave it out on your doorstep too long. That kind of thing was really helpful. Don't ask what the prognosis is, because that makes me feel like you're asking me when I'm going to die. It's more, what's the treatment plan? What the doctor said? Have you got an appointment I could take you to? That kind of thing that lifts here and there. That was great. And yeah, I'd say for me, it was just more of the practical side of things. And actually, life post-cancer, I'm really interested in working in that area as well, because you're so affected, but your mental health is so affected by it. And even, this whole thing about ringing the bell at the end of your treatment, that's almost the hardest part. Because all of a sudden you haven't got your medical team around you that have been around you for the past 18 months, and you're not being checked, on a weekly basis. And all of a sudden you're having to somehow be back in work, and life has to carry on, and you don't feel like yourself anymore. So yeah, I think that there should be more support for people sort of after a big diagnosis like that.
So let's talk about motherhood. You've got 3 kids. I've also got 3 kids. Yours are teenagers.
Yeah.
I'm still in the early stages.
Yeah.
What has motherhood, how has motherhood taught you patience?
You have to be so patient. Are you talking about just in general or around the cancer diagnosis? Just in general and in life?
And in life, yeah.
Flippin' heck. Honestly, also when you've got 3 of them, you have to be even more patient. And I feel, I don't know if it's the same for you, but you feel like you nail it with one of them and you're like, yes, you're sorted. You know what you're doing today and you're happy with that. And then you turn around and then the other one's losing their shit. And it's like, and then you're like focusing on that one and trying to sort them out. And for me with teenagers, it's the hormones and the things that matter so much to them. Like whether they've got the pleats in their skirt was the thing this morning, and the pleats have started falling out of the skirt and it just didn't look right anymore and it looked too triangular and you just have to, to them it's a big deal. So I guess, yeah, as much as I try to impart on them that it really doesn't matter, to them these things do. So it's a lot of deep breathing and listening to them and trying to validate their feelings, but also like, just wear the bloody skirt.
Exactly. Those who have experienced a pivotal time in their lives, cancer, redundancy, divorce, and things like that, what tips would you give for them in terms of building a stronger version of them?
So hard, isn't it? Because when those moments happen, you spiral out of control. And I wish, looking back, I had taken more help from people around me. But that's all well and good, me saying that now, because I thought I could just do it all by myself. I think that there's a real strength in recognising that you can do some things, but you can't do everything. For me as well, talking about it definitely helped, which is why I sort of created the Titty Gritty and did all my Instagram stuff, because it helped me. It's not for everybody to do that. Some people go the other way, but I have lots of people reaching out to me, asking for advice or help on their situation. So I would say, like, reach out, find those people that you want to follow, that you find inspiring, and also focus on yourself. What do you need to do for you right now? You know, the whole thing about putting the oxygen mask on yourself. I'm learning that now more than ever after being made redundant, that actually focusing on me is a really good thing for me to be doing, and doing the exercise and the strength training that I'm doing. I feel that's really helping me mentally as well as physically.
What's one thing that you no longer apologise for?
Not going to things that I don't want to go to. Because I would go to everything, because if, you know, just to please people. But I've God, it sounds savage, but there's people that I've not cut out of my life, because that sounds horrible. But there are relationships that I haven't chased or pleased anymore, because people ghost you when you go through tough times. You know, I had people crossing the street, wanting to avoid me when I was going through cancer. And I get it. It's not because they're horrible people. It's that they don't know what to say to you. And I understand that. But equally, I need badass people around me. And
so you found your people? Found
my people. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
That's really important.
Yeah.
What part of what you do now brings you most joy?
I really love doing talks and talking to big groups of people about women's health, and knowing that when they get home that night, they might check themselves. Because I think maybe you might check yourself at some point
100%.
within the next week.
Definitely.
So that I really love. I love it when I see the Change and Check poster up somewhere, because that just makes me proud. But you know what? I lost one of my best friends back in January to breast cancer. And one of the last things she says to me was don't ever think that, don't ever take for granted, she said, don't ever take for granted the sun rising in the morning. And I do feel so great. It sounds dead corny, but I feel so grateful that I get to have another day.
Are you still quite nervous, or?
Do you know what? I wasn't nervous. I wasn't too nervous. But when I went for a routine, because I'm scanned every year. And when I went for my last one, it was the first one that I'd gone to feeling, I feel quite sort of breezy about this. But when then 2 days later, when I got a phone call from the hospital saying, yeah, all's not good, actually. Can you come back in? Oh my God. Literally the world fell out from underneath me. Yeah, it was awful. And it all turned out to be nothing. It all turned out to be fine. So I feel like I'm back on feeling a little bit cautious again. Statistically, there's 70% I should be fine. That's my statistic at the moment. 70% it shouldn't come back, which is a better way of looking at it than thinking
the glass 30%. Half full.
Exactly.
Always. That's very much me.
So yeah, I live very much in the cancer world, so I'm constantly being reminded of it. So sometimes I step away from it if I need a bit of a breather from it.
And how do you step away from it?
By not going on social media, by not going to some of there's so many like fundraising events and all that sort of stuff. Whilst I'll share stuff, maybe I don't actually go along to it and do it. I do a lot of them, but sometimes if I'm not in the right headspace.
What does showing up stronger mean to you now?
Showing up stronger for me means being confident in what I want to do in life and only doing the things that I want to be doing. And also feeling like I'm present at home for my kids. Because actually with work before, I wasn't as present. So this is a really unique time now, and this has been gifted to me for whatever reason. So yeah, trying to be more in the moment. I'm very bad at being somewhere and always thinking, right, where do I need to be next? So just trying to be in the moment a bit more.
And I think I suppose that's social media and children and just life generally.
Definitely. And I'm also physically trying to get stronger, but I don't think you probably meant it like that. But I am trying to get physically stronger.
Physically, mentally, everything. Yeah. When you are feeling overwhelmed, what is your reset routine?
Am I allowed to watch Married at First Sight?
Of course you can.
So I will watch some telly and get lost in that as much as possible. And then another reset thing that I do that really helped me when I was going through treatment actually was I've got a lady around the corner that does Reiki, and she's quite spiritual and she does all like weird and wonderful kooky stuff, but I absolutely love it, and she's amazing. So that's another big reset for me, is going around to see her and exercise now as well. And
so with exercise, what do you do?
So I am trying to do a thing where I do yoga one day, a weights class the next day, and then a run the next day. A run or a bike or a Peloton bike thing. And then I just alternate that.
Fantastic. And you do that in the morning?
In the morning.
And it makes you feel amazing?
Amazing.
So good.
And then I feel rubbish with myself if I don't do it.
Yes.
But my problem is my head, and I don't know how to stop this. Every day still my head says, but you don't have to do it.
Yes.
You don't have to do it.
No.
You could just sit and watch Married at First Sight.
Exactly.
So it's sometimes my head is my biggest blocker, I would say.
So some quick fire questions.
Yeah.
What's in your wellness kit?
Sleep. Friends. Kids. Good food.
Lovely. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Early mornings or late nights?
Early mornings.
One word your teenagers would use to describe you?
Oh, today they'd say forgetful. But that's really irritating. Although it was my birthday recently, and they all wrote in my birthday card, and my son said I was inspiring. Oh. And I was like, I'm made up. That's still next to my bed because that's lovely.
Heels or trainers?
Trainers.
One thing cancer has taught you?
Don't sweat the small stuff.
Your guilty pleasure?
Box sets.
Favourite way to switch off?
Box sets. And probably a glass of wine.
Favourite holiday destination?
I would now say Thailand, just because we've just come back from it and it was amazing.
If you had one day just for yourself, what would you do?
I would take a book and go on Lana Beach somewhere, and it's warm and you can hear the waves.
Oh, love that. Best advice you've ever received?
So Nadia Swala says to me every time, and I speak to her most days, and she often says to me, and it's the serenity prayer, and it's to do with, I can't remember it word for word, but it's about having the courage to change the things that you can change in your life, but accepting the things that you can't. And it's okay for those things that you can't. And it always resonates with me.
What makes you feel strongest as a woman?
Being with other women, other supportive women. There's just nothing more powerful, I think, than being in a room of like-minded women and you feel like they've got your back. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Helen. I think that was the most inspiring, as your children would say, story. And thank you so much for sharing it as well. I really appreciate it. Please tell people where they can find you and also how they can find out about the Change and Check campaign as well.
Yes. So if they follow me on @thetitty-gritty on Instagram, and all the details are on there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Until next time.